Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The world's greatest sporting event, the Olympic Games, has officially begun in Tokyo, but the opening ceremony was this year held in a virtually empty stadium. The sky over the National Stadium lit up as fireworks marked the start of the opening ceremony. Normally a star-studded event, this year's opening had fewer than 1,000 people in attendance. More than 11,300 athletes from 207 different nations will compete over the next couple of weeks. Hundreds of protesters gathered to demonstrate against the competition, which has been hit by several scandals in recent days. More than 100 people involved with the Olympics have already tested positive for COVID-19, but organisers say they hope the Games will bring joy to people around the world. Due to the epidemic, the Tokyo Olympic Games have been changed a lot, and there are plenty of regrettable things. Sometimes we have found that there are a lot of matters beyond our capacity, but we have to accept all the things and do the best job that we can. If the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics can be successfully held without cluster infections or the coronavirus spreading to the Japanese public, and there would not be any problem of athletes when they return home, we can then experience the joy of success. Meanwhile, the First Lady of the United States of America, Jill Biden, and French President Emmanuel Macron have been among global dignitaries to meet the Japanese Emperor.
Today, it gives me great pleasure to receive all.
After Emperor Naruhito gave a speech, each foreign leader spoke with him briefly on their way out before leaving for the opening ceremony. In addition to Biden and Macron, Prince Albert II of Monaco and the Polish President Andrzej Duda were also in attendance at the Imperial Palace. Samoa's Court of Appeal has ruled that a makeshift swearing-in ceremony for the country's next government was legal, meaning the country now has its first female Prime Minister. Fiame Naomi Mataafa took her oath at an unofficial ceremony outside Parliament House in May. Samoa had suffered months of instability since the election in April ended the last premier's term, which had lasted for more than 2 decades. Outside the courthouse, fast party members and supporters sang hymns of gratitude and a prayer expressing their delight at the outcome. President Hassan Rouhani has opened Iran's first oil terminal in the Gulf of Oman to avoid using the Strait of Hormuz, a shipping route that has been a focus for regional tension for decades.
Pipeline,
which is about 1,000 kilometers in length, will transfer oil from facilities in Gure on the southwestern shores to the Oman seaport of Jask on the southeast. Rouhani says it was a strategic move and an important step for the country. President Xi Jinping has visited the politically troubled region of Tibet, the first official visit by a Chinese leader in 30 years. In footage released by the state broadcaster, Mr. Xi was seen greeting a crowd, wearing ethnic costumes and waving the Chinese flag as he left his plane. The president was in Tibet between Wednesday and Friday, but the visit was only reported by state media now due to sensitivities surrounding the trip. China is accused of suppressing cultural and religious freedoms in the remote and mainly Buddhist region, but the government denies the accusations. Haiti has laid its late president Jovenel Moise to rest amid protests from angry supporters of the leader in his hometown. Moise was gunned down in his home in Port-au-Prince earlier this month, setting off a political crisis in the Caribbean country already struggling with poverty and lawlessness. Protests continued in the city for a second successive day. Demonstrations saw protesters set tyres on fire to block roads. An Australian activewear firm has been fined $5 million for claiming its clothing eliminated and stopped the spread of COVID-19. Lorna Jane had advertised that its clothing used a groundbreaking technology called LJ Shield to prevent what it called the transferal of all pathogens. However, in a ruling, a judge said the company's claim was exploitative, predatory and potentially dangerous. Lorna Jane said it accepted the court's ruling. And finally, a bar in London is serving up drinks to a new breed of customer. The bar is called After Bark, which opened in June and is the latest venture from a dog and human community centre situated in the capital's Hackney Wick. The menu of cocktails and shareable snacks is unique, offering plant-based refreshments, meaning man's best friend can also be a drinking partner. And that's for international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.